Did you realize that the last class born in the 90s will be graduating in 2017? If you were born in that amazing decade, this is going to make you feel old. We're just starting to realize that we're adults now. So today, we're celebrating our childhood with memories from the 90s and early 2000s. Do you remember what was the link between a pencil and a cassette? Watch this video to find out. If this is your first time visiting our channel, don't forget to subscribe to The Things and give this video a big thumbs up. Today we're showing you 10 pictures that will make you feel old. Old cell phones. Nowadays, we can't live without our cell phones. We sleep with them, eat with them, go to the bathroom with them. People are so obsessed with this technology that being separated from your smartphone became a new fear. It's called nomophobia, an abbreviation for no mobile phone phobia. But decades ago, owning a cell phone was not as much fun as it is now. Sending a text message took so much time because you had to press a number up to 4 times just to type out one letter. One of our first smartphones in the 2000s had a keyboard, and we were amazed by this. It is far from the touchscreens we have now. And do you remember the Nokia phones? Nowadays, when our iPhone falls on the floor, the screen breaks. But in the 90s, when a Nokia fell on the floor, it almost broke the floor. But there is at least one thing that we like about cell phones in the 90s. They were so difficult to use that we were happier without them. Kids didn't have a smartphone, but we used different ways to talk to our friends in class. We shared messages written on a piece of paper. And we were so embarrassed when a teacher found it and read it in front of everyone else. Did that ever happen to you? Tell us what happened in the comments below. Tamagotchis. We now have to go to school during the week, work during the weekends, sleep 8 hours a night, and try to maintain a social life. We can't help but think that we were so lucky when we were kids. Life was so much easier when all we had to think about was our Tamagotchi. In the 2000s, we used to press 3 different buttons to take care of this little digital creature. We had to feed them when they were hungry, play mini games with them to make them happy, and scold them when they didn't behave well. Tamagotchi players started the game with a baby, and the pet grew up to a child, a teenager, and an adult if we took good enough care of them. It might seem simple, but it was much more difficult to do than what kids nowadays might think. When you forgot your Tamagotchi for a day, he could become sick or even die. At least this made us appreciate much more what our moms did for us. We understand what parenting was, but with this digital pet, we proudly claimed that we could take care of a real animal. Can you believe that our Tamagotchis have been dead for more than 10 years? Oh my, we have been such horrible parents. MSN Messenger. U.S. smartphone owners aged 18 to 24 send on average more than 2,000 text messages every month and almost 70 every day. But in the 2000s, we didn't have a phone, and we needed another way to communicate. When we were teenagers, the best way to talk to our friends after school was MSN Messenger. We had to wait for our mom to stop using the phone, and then we were able to connect to the internet. We all had the craziest nicknames with the coolest way to write our names, too many emojis, and a random quote. And we weren't happy when we saw that someone copied our nickname. We usually talked to our best friends, but we were really happy to have our crush in our contact list. And we didn't even talk to them. We were too shy to make the first step. Instead, we just kept signing in and out so they could notice us. When we finally had the courage to talk to this boy or girl we liked, we pretended that it was the wrong conversation or that our friend did it for fun. And then we had to ask our friend if our crush was online because we were worried they blocked us. Do you remember doing any of these? Tell us what the funniest nickname you used on MSN was. Nintendo 64. We are now able to control video game characters with our movements, dance with our friends in front of the TV, and even discover a new world in virtual reality. No matter what is coming next, the best games we played were on the Nintendo 64. But first we had to get on our knees and blow on the cartridges to make them work. If it worked the first time, we were really lucky. If not, we had to blow on them again. We never knew how it would be a good idea, but everyone's cousin told them to do that. This console was also impossible to break. Now you look at an Xbox One and it explodes. In the 90s, you dropped the television on a Nintendo 64 and the console didn't even care. We also had the best video games we could ever play. We all had our favorite character in Super Smash Bros. And Mario Kart. We played with our siblings after school, and we were really proud to beat them at this game. And don't forget The Legend of Zelda, Donkey Kong, and Yoshi's Story, but the best video game in the world was Super Mario 64. We just had to jump in one of the paintings in the castle, and we had the best childhood ever. If there is one thing we would like to keep nowadays, it's the Nintendo 64. Pencils. As adults, we have to use black or blue pens, and if we don't, our college teacher or our boss won't be happy to see this. But in our childhood, we had the best pencils ever. We begged our mom to buy us the funniest school supplies we could find so we could be one of the most popular kids in the class. One of them was the pen with 10 different colors. We would pick any color we want to take notes in class, and we have to admit that we all tried pushing every color at the same time. Another thing we loved was milky gel rollers. It just looked so pretty, and we were jealous when a girl in our class had more milky gel pens than us. So we competed against her by asking our mom to buy Mr. Sketch Magic markers. They all smelled like different kinds of food. We knew we would get a lot of attention from it because all the other kids wanted to smell them. But when we wanted something practical, we used the push pencils. They were the ancestors of the mechanical pencils. Unfortunately, as soon as we lost some of these little things, we couldn't get our favorite pencils anymore. If only our pencil cases could be filled with all these magical school supplies once again. Game Boys. Nowadays, everyone can play video games on their cell phones. We have hundreds of choices to download for free, and there's always a popular new game to be addicted to. It's like we're taking things for granted. But in the 90s, a Game Boy was on everyone's Christmas list. And the main reason why we wanted this little gadget was not Mario, Zelda, or Tetris. We all wanted to be the very best, like no one ever was. Every 90s kid wanted to play Pokemon. Pokemon Go was so popular in 2016, but we know that the real Pokemon trainers have been catching them all since 1996. And when we felt like our parents didn't love us enough to buy a Game Boy, we played with Pokemon cards instead. 90s kids spent their entire pocket money trying to collect as many Pokemon cards as possible. But do you remember one thing our Game Boys could do that is popular today? We were really ahead of our time. In the 1990s, it was possible to take selfies with the Game Boy camera. We were so impressed by these tiny black and white, heavily pixelated images. Our face was barely recognizable, but hey, we had to start somewhere. Maybe that's why we're all so good at taking pictures of ourselves nowadays. Windows 95. We never like updates on our computer. It takes so much time to download, and we feel like the version we used before was better. But when we look at Windows 95, we understand that these updates were for the best. This technology was new to all of us, and we needed a video guide to understand what is now so intuitive. But not any video guide, a VHS with Jennifer Aniston and Matthew Perry from the TV show Friends. And when we just didn't have time to watch this, the friendly paperclip named Clippy was there to help us. Sometimes he just popped up for no reason at all. No matter what, we were always happy to see Clippy because he was kinda cute, and also because there were so many strange and unexpected errors on Windows 95. Computers were supposed to be intelligent, but that's what made them so complicated. And they were kinda slow. Nowadays, we can easily watch movies in streaming all day, but in the 90s, it seemed like it took 39 years to download one song. That's a thing we want to leave in the past. But if there is something we wish we could still have now, it's the screensaver. We would like to see the maze again, just for the nostalgia. VHS. Now there is enough place on one little DVD for our favorite film in 10 different languages, the special features, and games. And we don't even need that anymore, as we can find more movies than we could ever watch in a lifetime online. But in the 90s, we had to go to Blockbuster to rent our favorite films every week, and watching them was really different than it is nowadays. There was a different VHS for every language, so you wanted to make sure you rented the right one or you wouldn't understand anything. You also had to rewind them after watching it, and we weren't happy when the previous customer didn't do it because we had to wait 10 minutes before watching our film. But there are so many things that were better with a VHS. We could easily skip the previews if we didn't want to watch them. Even though we didn't use the VHS for 15 years, it remembered where we left off. And it didn't wake us up with loud, repetitive menus when we fell asleep in front of the TV. Don't forget the orange VHS. We were so happy to find one. Fortunately, we still have a friend who keeps all their VHS Disney princess movies. Watching them together is the best way to have fun at a pajama party, even now that we are grown-ups. Pencil sharpeners. Now that we're studying in college or working, most of us use pens, and we don't want to go back to the time when we had to sharpen our pencils. We all remember that one embarrassing moment when we forgot our personal pencil sharpener, so we had to use the one that was mounted on the wall in class. It made so much noise, and we were standing there in front of the class as everyone was watching us. It felt like a tiny person was hidden inside and just used a noisy chainsaw to sharpen our pencils. And it was a knuckle destroyer too. This was a moment any shy kid feared so much. We didn't want to be the one one using it when everyone was silent. We just waited for the break or for someone to use it first so we wouldn't be the only one. Sometimes we were just too shy to stand up and we just stayed at our desk with a pencil we couldn't use. But one thing was fun with these pencils. The shorter they were, the cooler they were. We tried to do the same thing with erasers, but we just kept losing them. Did anyone else really use an entire eraser? We don't think it was even possible. Cassettes. We don't even use CDs anymore. Now all the music we can listen to is either on our cell phone or simply streaming online. But there was a time when music didn't come for free, and we really appreciated the little things we had. We know how precious our audio cassettes were because the tape constantly came out of it. Or maybe we were the one responsible for that. Anyway, we had to fix that problem. Kids these days will never truly understand the link between a cassette and a pencil. We had to put the pencil in the hole of the audio cassette and turn it so the tape would go back in place. And it was not the only problem we had. Remember when you wanted to listen to your favorite Spice Girls cassette but accidentally pressed the record button instead? Oh my gosh, our music was gone forever. At least we had our yellow Walkmans following us everywhere. Some of them were even waterproof, as if swimming in a pool wasn't already fun enough. But then we grew up and discovered new technologies. The first iPod was not there yet, but we enjoyed the Hit Clips music players. Each cartridge could only play one song, but we were so popular when we owned one. If only we could still appreciate the value of music like we did before. And that's it for 10 pictures that will make you feel old. If you were a 90s kid, don't be shy to tell us about your best memories from your childhood. Make sure to give us a big thumbs up if you owned any of the objects, and don't forget to subscribe to The Things for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye!